Hello, hello, everyone. I hope we are all doing well. Yes, we are live because today the new collection has launched. Just going to wait for a couple minutes. And if somebody's here, just let me know that you can hear me and see me. Good morning, Cordelia. How are you doing? Are we making our sourdough today? Oh, mine. It's about time. I know this one did come out a little bit later than normal. But they say, we wait for the best. So I'm very excited about this collection. I'm excited with all of my collections. Very honored that you all enjoy them. But yes, this one is here. And again, this is the 2025 fall and winter collection. So, what we're going to do today, I'm going to go through each stamp set, just talk about it. There is a theme that does go through this collection, and I will explain that. Um, Oh, okay. All right. So you're making blueberry muffins later. You have to feed the starter. Okay. I'm in awe that people make their own breads and everything else. There is, as I was saying, there is a story behind this collection. A lot of my collections, after the first one, there is inspiration that's given by you guys for my collections. And there's always a piece, ever since the first one, of someone who's part of this wonderful community within the collection. Because, I listen to you guys. Absolutely. Hello, Beth. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Um, but this one here, it's kind of a funny story when it comes to this. But we'll hear that as we go. Ave, good morning. How are you? I hope you are doing well. So, yes. So, as always, there are four stamp sets in the collection. Three of them have moved up to a 6x8 stamp set. Um, and then one is at a 6x6 stamp set. Um, so um, a little bit different going into the 6x8. But again, that just goes with the theme of what these stamp sets are. Oh, and Cordelia, you can lurk. Absolutely. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So lurk away. For those of you that purchased during the pre order, those orders are going to be going out tomorrow. And thank you very much for your purchases. Very honored when it comes to that. So let's start talking about each of the stamp sets. As I said, one is 6x6, and that is the Tangled Stocking. So here we've got our three sentiments that I added: making spirits bright, very merry, and holly jolly, in kind of fun, different fonts. Hello, Vicky. Good morning. And then we have our tangled stocking. And a couple lives ago, we actually worked with each of the stamp sets just to show just one technique for each one. But this one's fun because we can separate this piece if we want by fussy cutting the toe and the heel, and then the stocking itself. So these are great to use with any media that you want to use. We can heat emboss, we can do all kinds of techniques with them. I do like to work with either watercolors or sprays or my chalk pastels or just a pencil. By all means, a pencil is a great thing to do. This will fit on a standard A2 size card base. It'll fit tightly, but we can do different things, and you'll see a couple things that I did with that. So this is a tangled stocking. Now, this one was inspired from a video that I had created in a summit when it comes to jetties, because they look like little tiny ornaments, or we can make them look like that. So that's our first one. Our next one is the tangled frame. And you can see we've got a large image. So these are geared towards a 5x7 card. I know not everyone is into a 5x7 card base, but the person that inspired this collection is. So went with this. Now this will fit on a 5x7 panel. You can go down to a 4 and 7/8 by 6 and 7/8, and this will fit nicely on it. We have the sentiments of believe, live your story, shine, and best always. And again, any colors that you choose will work wonderfully with this, and you can see it's intertwining when it comes to the to the frame, and also poking through some of those tangles. Now what's great with this one, because of the florals that were tangled, this can be turned into, just by using our colors, autumn, holiday, whatever colors you would like to use in that. Good morning, Sean. How are you doing? Welcome. Our next up is another 6x8, and this is the tangled rope. This is one of my favorite. Hello, Gwen. How are you doing? So this here, it's a little smaller for a frame, as you can see with this one, but it does have a lot of width and height to it because of this rope that's just intertwining. This one too, depending upon your colors that you use, can also be pushed into the holidays, can be pushed into autumn, and especially Halloween when it comes to this. So that's why we have sentiments of have a spooky, cozy autumn, haunted greetings, everything Halloween. And then one of my favorite quotes, there is no beauty without some strangeness, by Edgar Allan Poe. All right, so lots going on here. And again, that frame is going through and it's wrapping around that frame as well. Good morning, La France. How are you doing? And then finally, we have this one. It's another 6x8. And this one is called Some Bitty Tangles. These here can be borders. They can be bookmarks. They will work on a standard A2 size card. They will work on a 5x7 card. They can be interchangeable. So very versatile stamp set. And our sentiments here, we have be you, Make today amazing. You are enough, and love with all of your heart. So, those are the sentiments with that. So, if you can see, this collection was very much inspired by our very own Biddy Penny. That's who um, really inspired this collection, especially these three pieces. You know, Biddy and I are very good friends, um, and we like to say we're sisters from afar. And as I was designing this collection, so here's the background of this. As I was designing this, you know, we bounce our ideas and all of that. And when I showed where the collection was originally going, there was just a phrase that came back through the text. And I could just feel it wasn't much enthusiasm. So we went back to the drawing board, and literally after that, these three came out. Especially this one. This is Biddy's idea to do bookmark type things, borders, and so forth. So forth. So yes, this entire collection is inspired in honor um, of my very close friend, Biddy Penny. So if you guys don't know of her channel, I encourage you to go check it out. It will be linked down below. I also encourage you to check out Sean, Manly Made Minute. He is going live at 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and I cannot wait to see his creations. Um, these two, Biddy and him, they are on my design team for my stamps, and what they do with this collection is completely opposite. All three of us do something extremely different when it comes to any of these stamps. I do lean towards the Zentangle method, where these two just take these stamps to the next level. So please, please, once we're done, I will make sure both of their channels are linked down below so that you can check out one, their channel. They're both wonderful channels, and also their creations with these. So let's get into the samples that I created when it comes to these stamps. And then if we have time, maybe we will play. Let's see. Just checking out the comments. Well, you never know, we're always growing. So let's start first with some Biddy tangles, and just like that, we can create bookmarks. All right, so these are sleeves that I've gotten off of Amazon. Same thing with the tassels, but again, you can just have ribbons and twine coming off of them, keeping them to the original way of Zentangle. We just stamp them, and I just add my pencil or graphite to them and blend this out. This piece of cardstock, at least in this sleeve, measures 2¼ by 6½, and at least that's what that sleeve holds. The stamps themselves stamp out to be 1�7/8, yes, by just a little over 5½, just under 5 5/8. which is the perfect size for a bookmark, which is why we did take it up to a 6 by 8 so that three of them could be added onto that stamp set. And these are the designs that Biddy chose. So we have, of course, a floral one that's being intertwined with like a fence. And then we have another one with hearts. This is called Hearty 4. And then this one here just has these flourishes and then with that deep dark background going in them. Again, these are perfect for your A2 size cards, 5x7s, any size card that you want to do. They could be layered up. You can have two of them, great for gatefolds and so forth. And then the same stamps done with colors. This is using watercolor markers and a blending pen, the clear blending pen to get that color here. Just adding those pops and then still having the graphite going on there as well. All right, so great for bookmarks, so great gifts, or anything like that. Next, here's how I created with an A2 card. I took all three of them and just stamped them and embossed them with a platinum powder. Added the sentiment, make today amazing, and then just went around with some, whoops, as we throw that, with some chalks and other watercolors. And I sprayed the background with my oxide inks, just to create that, and then added more depth with that same with another oxide painted in. But you can create great backgrounds with those just by going on an angle. Well, hello, Teresa. Good morning. Welcome. Next, we just took them as a border. This is on a 5x7 card base. So just used some chalk pastels and matted it. Just cut around, created that border with the white, and then put it on a black mat. And then for this one, I just have the sentiment going across. So you can see how it can just be centered right there in front. Doing the same thing. We can turn these anyway because Zentangle is non-directional. There is no up, down, left, right. We don't worry about light source when it comes to that. So these can be turned in different ways. So this is a 5x7 landscape, and I use the sentiment BU, again using chalks. And then we can also set it off to the side. And then again, having the sentiment down here. And again, this is going right onto that 5x7 card base. Here's the one that we did in our live where we stamped it, we added our graphite and just pops of color, and then we added more tangles coming out of it. This is also a 5x7 card base as well. I said that these are great when it comes to a gatefold, which we can. So they're perfect panels. To do a gatefold type card, we can put a belly band around this. This I used copper embossed powder, heat embossing, and then I did use my sprays for my backgrounds, and then just added them with two mats, one with an iridescent and a black mat, to sit on each panel of the card. And then just added some white gel pen to the little tiny tipples, which is the tangle. And then finally, I did a 3-layer. So using only one of the stamps, or you could use each of them, or however which way you would want to go with this. I put the BU on the front, and then when you open this up, it says you are enough. And then when you open it again, it says love with all your heart. So made a um, almost like a pamphlet style, layering up the two different cards to get a three-fold effect. And then it will sit up like that. So those are the samples for Some Bitty Tangles. And then I'll have these pictures up on the website as well after this live. Next up, we're going to look at the tangled stocking. So here's the one that we did in our live a couple weeks ago. And here is where, when I stamped it, I did stamp it twice, stamped it down onto my panel. This is a 5x7. And I used my chalks, added the Making Spirits Bright. And then on the second one, I cut this part out, the top of the stocking, and propped it up using some foam tape to give it that dimension. And you could also do it to the toe and the heel, so you can add the dimension to your piece, and then just added the graphite and the colors to them. Now again, that's on a 5x7. Here I did a emboss resist on a 5x7 with white embossing powder, and then did it on an ink smushed background in blues, and then used a blue chalk to go around it and to accent all of the images, and then added on vellum Holly Jolly in gold underneath. For this one, this is a 5.5 by a 5.5 card base. Good morning, Caroline. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Again, just keeping it to the graphite. I think the pencil can do so much to any image that we have. We just don't need to use pencil only with tangled style images. We can do it with any of our images if we don't want to have all of that color. And then I used a very pale blue for the top. And you can see 5.5 by 5.5. The stocking does fit right up on top there. And then I did the same thing with a 5.5 by 5.5, but doing it on a piece of craft cardstock and pulling in a white chalk with the graphite or the pencil when it comes to our image, and then using the white chalk to color in just those solid areas as well, those open areas. You could also use a white jelly roll if you wanted to. Of course, we've got to add just a little bit of grunge because it's what I do. So this one is just exploding off of a 7x7. This was done with watercolors. So how I was able to keep it up from the top, I have no idea. But this is actually heat emboss. I use my VersaFine black ink. That's always what I use when I stamp. And then I heat emboss it with clear, and then just had the watercolor and added some splatters just from the red coming out, and then added some green down in the toe and the heel, and then just use the pencil up to accent the jetties, and a gold pen for the toe and the heel, and then filling in those open jetties with no design, and then added on vellum Very Merry, and that's got torn edges. So yes, now this is a 7x7 card base. You guys know me, I love real estate. Gotta have real estate. I did another stocking on a 7x7 just with the pencil, added some gold and silver to those open areas. And that gold and silver, let me tell you, did we know that RSVP pens come in metallic? These are Awesome. Yes. Got those at Amazon. And that's where that gold and silver is coming from. And then I tangled around the outside with another color of pen. And again, these are all flat base cards. Yes, this is a 7x7, but it is a flat base card. Now, can this fit on a standard A2 size? It can, but I just put it onto the corner and then added Holly Jolly. But this does fit onto a standard A2 size card base. I did that with gold and then um, did an ink smushed background with my sprays and then just highlighted the stocking with that. So again, even though it's a large design, it does fit on a standard A2 size, but we could just take a part of it to give the illusion of the image. Okay, up next, a tangled frame. So here, I got Allison. This is the one that we did in our live a couple weeks ago, just using the pencil, and you can see it fits perfectly. This panel is cut to 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, and it does fit. The whole image will fit. And then I just added some gold accents to the center of that flower there. You can stay with one color, and I chose that color there. So still having the graphite, the pencil, and then choosing just one color of the chalk pastel pencil. I think this is Faber-Castell's Caput Mortem. I love that color when it comes to that. So you can stay with one color on the image. It doesn't have to have all the colors. But if you do like all of the colors, absolutely. This was done with watercolor pencils. Just adding all of those different shades. Again, depending upon the shades you can use, that's going to make for what season you want it for. This will definitely fit with spring, but it could also fit within the holidays as well. And then I chose the sentiment of shine. We can do emboss resist. So did a lot of spraying on this one, used white embossing powder, and then I wiped it so that the white would come back through. I used the sentiment best always, and that's all I did. I did not add any graphite, I didn't add any pencils or anything like that. Kind of did a silhouette type style here, and then just matted it onto an iridescent cardstock for the background. And then chalks, again, bright colors, tones of greens, blues, and purple. And then chose the sentiment of believe. And again, this is just stamped on here where the believe is embossed. We can take it also onto black cardstock. So did that with silver embossing powder and then accented with a white gel pen and also white chalk. I had a boo-boo down here, that's a technical term, and all I did was I turned it into a little tiny banner, and then in our own handwriting, maybe we don't have that sentiment that's set in a stamp, but with our own handwriting, we could take that into the banner, and I just put gratitude. So black cardstock works really well with these. This does fit onto a standard A2 size card. And these are the 3 different versions. So for this side here, what I did was I took 2 panels cut 4 by 5 1/4, and I put them next to each other in my stamp positioning tool, and then I laid the stamp straddled against that line. And then I stamped it. So here's half of the design, and then I added some more tangles to make it look like it's coming through with this gold pen. And then the graphite onto the stamp area. And then for this side, this is the other side of the stamp, so it can create that border look to it. Added another border coming off of it in the silver RSV pen, and then added the sentiment over here. So you'll get different looks when it comes to the stamp. So if I put this next to each other, you can see that's the stamp that's straddling over that. You can also fit this, the frame is almost the perfect size of a standard A2 size card base. And then I just had fun with ink blending with the rainbow and then adding a lot of water to it. And then this was heat embossed with clear embossing powder as well, and just let those colors go when it comes to the background. So you can see just how well that will fill up and create a background for your cards. All right. The last one is our tangled rope. So here we go. So again, showing the true, this is the one that we did in the live, and I mixed the pencil with some chalk pastels. So you got these very deep hues of those colors. They didn't stay bright, they didn't stay vibrant because I mixed in that graphite color. And then with purples and oranges and greens, it kept the colors dark, so haunted greetings. You can definitely, keep that. Again, this panel is 4/7/8 by 6 7/8, and you can see how well it will sit there. You can also, this one here, I chose Cozy Autumn, and this one here I used watercolor pens to add my color, but kept the rope with the pencil and just added the color to the floral parts. So phlox, pokeroot, toodles, and then foundabout coming up through there. So, and this was not embossed. That was just stamped directly on there. Here are two completely different looks on black cardstock. So this one here, doing this with white embossing powder and just adding the white chalk. Have a spooky in gold emboss. You can see that the image can just intertwine onto black cardstock. And then I did it again using gold embossing powder, but also using the chalks as well. So the color is there. It's not going to be as vibrant, but you can use your chalk pastels to add color onto the black cardstock, giving it that more of an autumn feel. Remember, we don't worry about direction in Zentangle, so this is the same stamp upside down and just using the pencil. So you can turn these, and these are all 5x7 cards as well, but you can turn it. And then that's where I added There Is No Beauty Without Some Strangeness by Edgar Allan Poe. Now, can we take this and put this on a standard A2 card? Yes, we can. So here, doing the same thing of what I did prior, putting two pieces that measured 4 by 5 1/4, what I stamped on, putting them together in my stamp positioning tool, and then stamping the image, we get our two halves when it comes to the card. So you're creating, when it comes to a border, so, in some way. I did add tangles alongside of it. So this one Since this had the poke root, I added more poke root with that silver pen. Again, my favorite quote, keeping the pencil on this side. And then here, choosing Cozy Autumn again with the pencil, and then using the gold to have more toodles coming out into that. So it will fit on a standard A2 size card, getting you guys outside the box when it comes to all of this. Just checking the comments in case anyone has any questions. Let's see. Question. Desiree, did you go to art school? I did not. I did not. I took art and loved art in high school many decades ago. Um, the other schooling that I have is I am a certified Zentangle teacher for this. So you can put that onto your standard. Now, the other thing that I did, well, let's show you this one too. This is what it looks like on a standard A2 size. So you'll just lose bits and pieces. Again, this panel here was cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then again, keeping the pencil and then choosing bright, vibrant reds and pinks and lime greens to just let that fill up. For something like this, I don't choose to put a sentiment on it only because I like it just like that. It's a note card. All right. To make your sizes different, I took 4 pieces of cardstock, and I need to measure them. 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I took 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 pieces of cardstock. I put them in my stamp positioning tool and stamped over where it intersected. And you get these 4 complete different looks. Again, we don't worry about direction. We don't worry what's left or right or up and down. You can take the same design and just turn it. So while these are all, stand up, top fold cards, it doesn't mean that I can't take this and make it a side open card. Same thing with this one. I can make it a side and it's coming from the top. And you're still going to get your same looks. All I did was add the pencil to it, and then I used the same color chalk to outline it and then blend that out. So these bases can go in 2 different ways, but you get from one stamp 4 cards. So you can change that up, even though it's a large size. Okay? You can just take snippets of each of these. Not everybody I know is either likes, they don't like, or they're not comfortable doing that 5 by 7 card or larger. My favorite card base is a 7 by 7. It's because I've got more real estate to keep adding, to keep adding all the different elements that I would want to add, and then there's a spot somewhere for my sentiment. Sometimes that can be intimidating, or again, people don't like it. It's not their cup of tea. They want to stay with a standard A2 size card base. And don't get me wrong, I love this size, but it's just not enough room for me. I like to keep adding. You never know as we keep going along. So you can take that stamp set and you can see where the frame is coming in and line that up to stamp it on all 4 panels at once. So those are the ways that I created with this stamp set. Um, Looking for questions. No, Cordelia, you don't have to. It's, while it looks like, if I look at this image here, if I just push these off to the side, there's your stamp. It looks like there's a lot going on here, but you don't have to, color every area. You don't have to use every color. You can use colored pencils with these. Um, I do like the chalk pastels, um, or the pencil to just blend it out. I think that pulls out the image. Can you use your alcohol markers on these? Yes, you certainly can. Okay, that's what's great with this. You can use any medium. You can use your sprays. You can use your ink blending. So get your color down and then add water to it. That's what I did with, it's around here somewhere. That's what I did with this one. I put the colors down with our blending tool and then just hit it with water and then let it dry. I don't touch that. When I do this, it'll sit for 24 hours to just let those colors do what they need to do. I don't force the drying of it when it comes to that. Um, there was a question. Do you teach Zentangle virtually? I do, Caroline. Um, I have a Podia account, and I call it Podia. That's just where my community, this is my community here too, absolutely, and this is not going anywhere. But I have a community set up where there is a free tier. That's the first tier, and then the second tier is strictly for tangling. And then there's a third tier where you get everything below on up. So the first tier is free and it's different. It's all about the paper and what we can do with paper. Make cards, journals, tangle, anything and everything is going in there. And they're all step by step live recorded tutorials. The second tier is just tangling, where every month in the free we get one tangle that comes out every month. And then in the second tier, there will be another tangle or two that will come out with. But that's just on Zentangling. And we go through the tangles, we'll create a tile. And then the third tier, again, everything below goes into that. And then step-by-step tutorials on other items if on paper and stuff like that. But everything does hit that free tier. And then I also, in there are classes that are available that I've put together on Zentangle, a couple card making, and then the colored pencils for card makers is sitting in there as well. If you want to have a live virtual, we can do that as well. So all of that's where the second community lies as well, because those videos are long. Um, where my YouTube, I do lives every Sunday around, I start about 9 a.m. Eastern. And then there's videos sometimes during the week when it comes to that. So you can, wherever you want to learn and see, if you like details, if you like Gabby, I'll add those three words, that's the other community because it is truly step by step. You know, those we just did one for October on colored pencils, coloring a floral, and that was close to 4 hours. I'm going through the technique. We're not just being gabby gabby. So that's what sits over there. It kind of doesn't sit well here on the YouTube verse. So here you get my lives, and then you'll get some sped up videos of different cards that I'll be making. I'll also be doing my Christmas series here as well, where we're going to focus on holiday kits. And basically, it's going to be, I think, 5 weeks of 5 cards, 1 kit series that we're going to be doing here. Let's see. Another question. Oh, good, Carol. I hope you do. I'll have that link down below to the um, paper manipulators. That's what it's called, community. Because again, it's all about paper. It's not just making cards. It's what we can do with our scraps. It's journals and how we can use our scraps. It could be um, scrapbook albums. It could be collaging. It can be watercoloring. So it's all techniques that can be on on paper. So it's just not card making. But all of those techniques that you see can be applied to our cards if that's what you are. So I think some people are like, well, there's not cards. There are cards. It's just a different way of looking at it. So I hope to see you over there, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. Still here. Let's see, Desiree, if someone signs up now for the free classes, can they go back and see all the Inktober Tangle videos? I believe so. Yes. So when it came to Inktober, Zentangle, there's a Zentangle CZT where she puts together 31 tangles. And those, I had a video every day that sat in the free level of each tangle. So, yes, you should be able, if you sign up now in that free level, you should have access to everything back to April. Please let me know if you don't, because you should. It should open that up for you when it comes to that. So yeah, I would hope that it wouldn't say, okay, well, they just started now, they can't go back, because then I'd have to send an email. I'm just saying. And then the same thing with the other tiers. The highest price for the tier 3 is $9.99 a month. And again, if you're in that tier, you get everything that comes out with the step-by-step tutorials. So yes, Cordy, yes, you see everything. But yeah, Inktober every year will start and sit in the free. So you have that to look forward. And then every month a new tangle comes out into the free. And then we have our project video every month that comes out, and little snippets that I can throw in there as well. Good morning, Anthony. So yeah, it's a fun community, but I do want to stress that yes, in the free you get a little bit of everything, and then of course when it comes to the other tiers, you're getting just a little bit more when it comes to that. All right, so those are the collections and the samples. Is there anything, because we have time, let's make a card or let's have some fun. Is there a sample here that somebody saw that went, how'd she do that? Because let's do that. What do you think? anything, or do you guys just want me to pick and choose with what we did? Or is there a mixed media that you would like me to use with these? Or do you just want me to wing it? I'll let everyone think about that. Well, hello, Be Creative. Good morning. How are you? Can I use the chalks? Sure, I can use the chalks. Okay, everyone's saying that 3 panel thingy. Um, so that's this one. You guys want to see how I did this one? Oh, Anthony, you're never late. Well, Cordelia, you didn't miss it because we're going to do this. We're going to do this now. And I can um, mix and match. So I'll do this one, and I will use the chalk pastels to color the images in. Okay? All right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Let's clean these off, or else they're going to go all over the place, and I have to take my photos. Here we go. All right. Let me move those. Let's grab my stamp. I wasn't quite sure where you guys wanted to go, so I just got to gather up my supplies. All right. Now, where did that... Really? Oh, it's in front of me. Need my VersaFine. I always like to stamp with my VersaFine. And I'm going to need some cardstock. And I'll need that. Question, do your other tiers besides the free one have only mixed media and journaling / card making, or do you have more Zentangle content as those tiers as well? It's funny, I just finished saying all that. Be creative when you came in. So to answer, so I'm going to real quick say that again, is so the free has a little bit of everything. The middle tier is all tangling. So in the free, you get one tangle. And then in the second tier, you'll see that tangle. And then I add a tangle or two that will go through. And then we do a project, make a tile. And then in the third tier, it's more involved. So you get everything below, and then usually there's a bigger, like maybe a 7 signature journal, or there's other things that go on in there as well. But again, the free does have a little bit of everything. It had a journal, had a single signature, it has a tangle that comes out. We do card techniques, mixed media techniques. But then as you move up, you're just getting more and more, because then you get that other. So if you're in the top tier, you get 3 projects, 2 to 3 tangles, You'll get handouts if there's a handout, um, like in a album that I did. There was measurements, so that was in there, and then, but again, it crosses over. Did that help? I really went through that quickly. Um, let's see. What is the process for choosing what you put in a signature for a journal? I just pull things. Let me get my last thing here. Hold on. Hang on. Let me get my be right back. And it's upside down. Hang on. Okay, we have our chalks. I need those. And there's one more thing. I know because if I use those, I'm going to use that. And I have that. Okay. I think I have everything I need. I think. Just going to grab some scraps. Okay. Scraps. Here we go. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, don't apologize, be creative. No, 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 no. That's fine. I just thought it was funny. All right, so let's get our pieces cut. So what I did is I started out with a 5x7 card base, and we're going to make ours. So I'm using Recollections. So we're going to cut this to 7. And you can make this any size that you want. I just wanted to go down in the tier. So that's our first piece that we need. And then we need this top piece here. And I'm just going to remeasure to make sure that I have it correct. So this actually measures 2.5, but we're going to cut it to 3 because we need a 1/2 inch fold. And then I'm going to cut this one to 7 as well. And I may just go a little bit larger in case I have to do any trimming down. And that's pretty much what I did. So then I need my scoreboard. So we're going to take our first piece, and on the short side, 3-inch side, we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. And this is the Recollections Heavyweight, 110 pound, and it's the, I love this color, White Dove. And then along the 10-inch side, we're going to score at 5. Tell my students if they don't ask, they don't know if they will get it. My birthday this year comes on Thanksgiving Day. If you want to send me something, the BRB sign will pay. I'm gonna make a note on that. Okay. I like the recollections too. Um, and I do like it for tangling as well because it it's not super rough, but it does have a little bit of a tooth to pick up that pencil. So it is good for that. So this here, we just folded that down. And I just keep creasing along this because, yeah. And then we're going to fold our card to create the base. All right. And then what I want to do is I'm going to make sure that I measure this one too, because then this measures 3 3/4. So from here, from our fold, we're going to remove a section of our front. So I'm putting my score line along the 3 3/4 and then just pushing that away. So this now becomes our base. And then this will sit on top. And it is a little bit bigger, and that's fine because I'll trim that because I'm okay to do that. So now we've got our tiers so that our tangles will pop out. So I'm going to get that glued down. It really does. Yes, yes, it does. Sell it as a printable. I guess I could do that. All right, and then I'm just going to line these up. And just make sure that they're even. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then I'm going to get my little trimmer out. And just... now it's going to shake. So, like how I did that? And now we're just going to trim that off because that's going to make me nuts. There we go. So now we have our layers. And then I hold off putting my black strips in here because it all depends on what sentiment I would use. But for now, this can be set aside. And I'll put that out of the way because you can see the whole splatter effect going on my thing now. Yeah. I'm going to use a piece of Bristol vellum for my stamping. It's something that I always do, but you can use anything. I'm just going to make sure that this is the right height, and it is. And I'm going to get, what is this one? Oh, perfect. I could. But you know, somebody will say, I don't want to do all that tangling. I like the print idea. I do like that. Okay, that stuff needs to get out of my way now. If you guys could see outside of this viewing area, it's very bad. Very, very bad. All right, now we're just going to stamp our images. And again, I do like to use my VersaFine. Now, give me 1 second. Be right back. Okay. Now, what I will say, what's going to be coming out for November in the free tier is we are going to put a tangle on a card. A tangle. Because I believe that we can do that. I've also done abstract art in there because I think that technique is wonderful for our cards. So it's very technique based, that world. Now I take this and I center it onto that panel. I mean, this panel gets cut down, but I do make sure that there's a border that's going around when I stamp. Make sure it's down in the corner. Now, I do have to say, too, if somebody is looking for last year's Christmas stamp with the 3 ornaments, and that's this one here, stay tuned. It's sold out, but it's going to be coming back. We've just got to wait a little bit for it to come back. So I'm just waiting for it to arrive. So thank you. Hope that lined up to everyone who made that purchase. Okay, so that's that one. But I know a couple people have asked about that one. It's not, but you know, be creative. The reason why I get asked a lot, why do I create these stamps? I absolutely love Tangle. I love Zentangle. I love being a certified Zentangle teacher, and I think and I know that it can become a part of our paper crafting, card making world. And I fully know I've had many people reach out and say, I couldn't do that. Whether it's a hand restriction, um, or whether until they try and realize you don't need any artistic ability. Has anyone ever had their ink pads like leak? This one's leaking. Um, or, they don't want to take the time to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I created the stamps. I don't want anyone to not enjoy this paper art form. And I know sometimes when we say art, people automatically think, okay, well, you have to have art ability. No, not for Zentangle. You do not. But then again, I also believe you don't need any artistic ability. You just need the ability to start. Because we all can create, and we all do create art. So I'm going to do each one differently. As you can tell, I'm going to do all 3 panels. We all create art. And when somebody looks at me and says, no, I don't, yes, you do. Because we are taking something and turning it into something else. Whether we're making a journal, whether we're cutting up pattern paper, whether we are making a scrapbook album, we're taking something and we're turning it into something else. And that's being creative. That's creating art. It's the definition. I will never say that I'm an artist because I can continue to learn, I can continue to grow and try new things. And to me, that's the fun. All right, now while I have my stamps out, I'm going to stamp my sentiments. So let's take this one. And hopefully this one will fit. Well, if it's not, we're going to make it. We're going to make it fit. So, that is why I created the stamps. A lot of people, said those things, and at the same time said, I wish I had, those would be great as stamps. So, because of all of you, that all of these came about. Squeaky sound. And I love every minute of it. I love creating the stamps. I love tangling. I love trying new things. See how far we can take things. See how far we can take paper. Because it's an awesome medium. There is so much we could do with paper. And then our last sentiment. And then I think our stamping's done. Let's see. Oh, I need that. Yes. Be creative. Yes. Um, for me, tangling, yes. It stopped me from worrying about what does this look like, because every piece of art or what you're creating, no matter if it's a card or anything like that, will have what we all call and refer to it as that ugly stage. There's always that ugly stage. But we've got to get through it. We got to push through that, because on the other side there's something magnificent. And tangling does that, because it has that, because as you're doing all of those strokes, you're seeing those strokes and all of that. And you kind of look at it and go, oh, yeah, no, oh, and you start critiquing yourself. Oh, that's not a straight line, or oh, that shouldn't be looking like that, or anything else like that. Um, but then once you add the pencil, the graphite, or your chalks, it just goes away. It just absolutely goes away, which is wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to use my graphite. I'm going to use my chalks. Now here I have a box just of miscellaneous colors here. I just got done rearranging my room. It was awesome. It was an awesome awesome feeling. So let's see. I want to um, I'm gonna dig out my Stabilos. I really like those. Um, and they're very affordable if you're looking for chalks. Pastel chalks can, and for some versions are kind of pricey. Um, but I think the Othellos aren't that bad. And they're nice to blend. But what's nice is, like, I stick with colors, certain types of colors too. So, here they are. I knew there was other colors. So you do not need to, please do not be me and have to have all the colors, all the types. Please. I don't, it's not necessary. Absolutely not necessary. That was a lot of noise too. Okay. Alright, so these are the Stabilos, like I said. And I think I want to do this one first. And why don't we zoom you in? Let's make sure there's no questions. Yes, I've seen the tangling digitally. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't know why. That ink pad, it just leaks and it gets all over my table, and then I don't know about it. And that is wonderful, be creative, that tangling gave you confidence, because that's what it's supposed to do. Ave, have a good one. Enjoy. All right, let's see if I can zoom you in. There we go. Okay. So chalks work just the same as your pencil. You can just put them down and then we blend when it comes to that. So I think I'm going to put this down here. We're going to make this one very colorful. And what's nice with the chalk, you don't need that much. It a little does go a long way. And I like to get all of my color down. And I get asked a lot too, can you do this with colored pencils? You can. It's a different way of putting the color down. Chalks, I don't have to be exact. Like, this looks like a hot mess. I'm not being, exact with my placement. I'm not worried about if the whole area is colored in, because I'm going to blend it out and get other colors added in there. No. Maybe. Um, with colored pencils, you've just got to be more exact with it. And it will take longer. So you can see now I can just come in with my blending stump. Q-tips work awesome. And I'm just going to pull it out. And I'm not looking for a perfect blend. I'm just looking to pull this up. Chalks can also be used in any type of image when it comes to card making. And you can see, boom, you get that gradient to pull up. And you can do this with one color. I mean, you don't have to use, different colors. I like the monochromatic, where you're just using one color. So that's our one color. Going to be a little preppy today with this whole pink and lime green. This is just a scratch piece of paper, and I'm just scritching along so that I can use the same blending stump instead of having so many around me. Now, I know Amazon also has those pointy Q-tips. They're nice and reasonable. I've used those before. I am going to pull in the graphite. I am a very heavy graphite person. So I do like the Zentangle 555, but you could just use a charcoal, a black charcoal. And you can see I'm just going to go back and forth here along this side. So again, it's not precise coloring. And that one I do use a separate blending stump because then that's what that one is for. And then I think I'm going to add it here. Here. And just because I'm adding colors in this area does not mean you have to. Everything in our tangling world is non-representational. There you go. So that one's all colored now. All right, on to the next one. Let's do this one. I do like to keep these dark. And you can, I'm just scribbling. All right, that's down. Hmm. I guess I'm just going to come in these peaks here. Around the curves. Let's see. Oh, have a good one, Caroline. In a class, several students said they didn't like their work because it was wobbly and looked messy, and she reminded them that artists to be admired. Yes! It is. I'm always a believer, too, that if someone, even cards, we spend a lot of time making our cards. It doesn't matter if we're letting the cardstock do the work for us, or if we are watercoloring a floral image from one extreme to the other. We take time. I think this pink is going to be my running through color. How's that? We take that time to make it. And if someone wants to critique, well, then I do believe that they should be hit with the item that they have received. There's one person, and they are still a friend of mine, made them this card. And I guess they weren't a fan of it. um, but they actually said, oh, where did you buy this? And, they just continued to make some comments. Now, I'm laughing. I really was laughing. And I just looked at them and said, okay, that wasn't bought at a store. I made that. And, they just kind of give you that, oh no, what did I just do? Look. And then I followed up with saying, don't ever worry. You'll never get one. Again. Again, it's all perspective and what people like and what they don't like. But many people will see the beauty in what you create. And if they don't, that's just one of many. I know that's a horrible sound you all are hearing. All right, so that's that one. All right, and let's take care of our final one. I want to put this running through the center of these flowers. I'm going to put this at the bottom because we can also mix our chalks as well. And I'm just going to do it right on the piece. I'm not going to do it in layers. This here, we'll make that the green. Let's blend. And there is, if you want to add some circles in there, you can. Yeah. Totally forgot that area. But that's okay because we just take our fine liner and we just put our orbs in there. That's all we do. Or you can just leave it alone. Little circles. So, see? I thought that was funny. All right. And then I do want to add the graphite to this. I do like the mixture, and this is something I started doing recently. I love the mixture of the pencil graphite with pops of color. I'm really liking that. Again, it's just a different look, but I very much do like that. And you can see with the samples that I showed, that was kind of the theme with those. What time is it? 10:30. Okay. I want to make sure you're all available to go to Sean's channel. I cannot wait to see what he did. He showed me some snippets, and oh, yeah. And this, we're just going to take the two colors, and it creates this different shade of pink. And I'm just going to take that right out to the edge. And I'm just going to put my graphite at the base. And then the ones that I added. All right, and then I think since I probably have, I'm just going to add a little bit around what's left on the blending stump around our tipple. Because you'll always have a little bit left over. So it'll be a nice soft effect. There we go. Okay, so now all three are colored. Who is Sean? So yes, Sean Manley at Manly Made Minute. I'm going to have him linked below, down at the bottom as well, because he is going to go live at 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And he's actually a member of my design team, along with Biddy Penny. And he is going live today, and he's going to showcase the ones that he has created with these stamps. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out. So I use my trimmer as where I want to cut. So what I do, and let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay. So what I do, oh yes, Beaker, you got to check his channel. He does some of the neatest techniques. He really does. It's awesome. So I'm going to line up this line with the edge of this safety guard on my trimmer. So that's where I'm cutting. And I do that on each side. I'm just lining it up on that edge. I don't know if this is like 1/8 of an inch, maybe just over. I don't measure. I just, I use guides. And I'm going to do that for each of them. All right, put those up there. And now I do want to, I'm going to save that one. I need this one. So I am going to measure these. So, okay, where do I, I think I'm going to do 2¼ by 6. So we're going to cut this to 6. Because now I'm going to create a mat for these. And I'm cutting them to 2¼ by 6. Yes. I'm going to cut one 2½ by 6. All right, and now we're just going to put these up onto our mats. So they're just going to have a slight border of our black cardstock. And that's the other thing that I like to use a lot with these as well, is black cardstock. Because to me, it's just like a theme. And this one here. All right, we're going to trim that one down. I just think black cardstock, period, really does make the colors pop. And I know I'm going to cut this just using my long scissors. I'm just going to go straight up. If you want to put it in your trimmer and cut it, you can. I'm just good doing that. There we go. All right, so now we have our 3 panels. We're going to pull back in. If I can find where I put it. Okay. Found it. I put it up high. And then we're just going to place these in here. So what I did first was I put the first and the last one in. So let me put that in there. Before I do that, I'm just going to... And this does stay down flat. I'd like put it in between all the other cards. So, here we go. Put this one up there. And I'm just centering it here on the 2.5 mark. All right, and then I open to the last, the full page, and we'll put this one here. And then I line that one up down here. So knowing that we've got that border, just doing that same thing. Thank you, Sean. And as I said, I'll have Sean's channel linked down below. All right, so now we have those in. And then when I look at this one, I'm going to get my glue on, and pretty much that one's going to be centered. Now I'm just going to eyeball this because that's what I do. But I still want the border to be on the edge as well. Okay, so there you go. And then we've got our sentiments. Now first I want to add you know what? I am going to trim these with my trimmer. I know you're watching a miracle right now. I very rarely do this. But I do want to have them somewhat straight. And again, I'm just using that edge of the safety device. And let's just make sure I've got that straight. Oh, I do. Okay. There's that one. There's the other one. And again, if you hear that sound, Max, I don't know if it's my voice that puts him to sleep or what, but he always feels the need to snore very loudly when I go live. So you all get to have that enjoyment. Okay. We're right on with that one. All right. I am going to need that trimmer again, because so this one we are going to cut at 1 inch. We're going to cut them all at 1 inch. So these are the strips that go inside. And I just cut those at 1 inch so that you had a slight border. And they're going to go on the inside. And just up to the score line. You don't want to go over the score line. You want to leave just a little bit there. And then I can trim off the excess. And then that can go there. You can also put a piece of cardstock around it as well to highlight it. Why not? Let's do that. Dig into my scraps because I love doing that. Again, I don't like to measure. Just going to put that down and then we'll trim around it. I love making mats too. I think mats add so much. And I just put those, I just eyeballed the center. So we have that. And then I'll flip that around. Cut that off. And then we go to the next one. Sorry for that scratchy sound. And then that's what hides where we put that hinge. And then again, just up to, not over the score line. And I come down just a little bit, knowing that I'm going to have that mat there. And then for this one, oh, look at that, perfect colors. Just and then we'll put that there. And we'll do the same thing. Trim off the top. Oh, gotta trim that one off again. There we go. All right, and then the last one is our BU. And we can, oh darn, I thought that would have been big enough. No, but and then that will go down there. And I do prop that up. Because, yes, love my dimension. Even though this kind of has, like, enough dimension already. And then I do add glue to them. And then I just center that off the bottom and onto push that out of the way. Everything just gets pushed. And there you go. Now again, this does flatten down. You could put, you know, a belly band around it. You can just tie a ribbon around it. But what's nice is something like this, it's a folio. So they can journal here. They can journal here. And they could journal here. I mean, you could also just put glue down this side and this side. And now you've created a tuck. Same thing here. Create a tuck. But this one's a little small. So just do that. So I would just do this one as the back. But they have an encouraging message with each one. And you've got these beautiful colors coming down. Now again, you could also make these even and just make the card shorter. Again, it's real estate for me. Biddy! Where did you sneak in? So yes, Gwen, I did stagger them. You don't have to. Again, you can make this shorter and then just have them all even. But I do like the steps. Again, to me, that just adds interest. And then this allows for this. Oops. Having a bad day with doing that. Allows me to put the sentiment down here so that's not covered. And then you've got one in each segment. And this will flatten down. Oh, thank you, Be Creative. Let's see, I'm catching up on. Well, I hope everyone does get in touch with everyone. Oh, good, you're not hearing the snores. That's because, you know, Max is just, woo! He's just right up there. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And again, it's fun. I like doing these as well. Making the gift. So this is a card, but it's interactive. And again, it will sit up. And when it sits up, depending upon how it sits up, you'll see all three panels. So when it's sitting, you know, on someone's desk, they can look at it differently. And all of that. It's like one of those star journals when it comes to this. So that. All right, so that's how I did that. I like this one better. This one, so lots of boo-boos. So for this one, I wanted to go back and do heat embossing so that these really stood out because I had this gradient going and splatters. Yeah. So I took the stamp out and was not going to attempt to line that up because that just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. And then I'll be honest, I gotta find it. So here are the cards. Then on, I gotta find it. It's going to be the last card I find. Yep, on the bottom. So for this one, I love it. It's upside down, and you can do that with tangles. It's awesome. Yep, that was actually a boo-boo because I put it on my card base upside down. But it proves that you can put these stamps in any direction. I'm just saying. So Gwen, are you asking these 3 panels? Yes. So that is 1 stamp set. Was that your question? Yes. Yes. Okay, so that's the collection. And again, while she's here, so again, this stamp collection, I don't know if you want to say in honor, I will say it's completely inspired. Um, Completely inspired by Biddy Penny, who is in here. Um, I knew when I sent that text and her response, I was not going in the right direction. And it was just an awesome response that she gave. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. But I knew it and I felt it. And I think it took about 2 hours later. And this collection was born. So, again, here we have just a quick recap, and then I'm going to let you all go to get ready for Sean at Manly Made Minute, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be able to see what he did with this collection, because I know I'm getting him out of his comfort zone on this one. Yes. And I think it's going to be an awesome collection that he created and designed with these stamps. I have no doubt. And again, I'll have all of his information linked. So just to recap, a 6x6 stamp set. We have the Tangled Stocking. Lots of things that we can do with that, with 3 sentiments, and they're a nice size. So they can go across here if you use that larger space. This will fit on a standard A2 size. It's just going to fit in there, but it does fit. Or you can go into that larger size. Here we have a tangled rope. So again, Biddy's inspiration, 5x7. Her and I, we love our real estate on our cards. It's not that we don't like a standard A2 size. At least for me, it's too small. I need more room. I need more space. But I have all the respect for an A2 size card. But here, this will definitely fill up. And it will fit on a standard A2 size card. We just have to, we'll lose some of the image. Okay, so these will fit on a standard A2 size card, but you have all of this beautiful, and I centered the frame in the center of this 4x5 1/4 panel. All right, you can also take 2 4x5 1/4 panels, put them next to each other in your stamp positioner, and just stamp right down the center. And now you've got 2 cards with 1 stamp. All right, so you can do that as well. With this stamp here, inspiration, it's just got the edginess and the creepiness. We'll call it that, with the Edgar Allan Poe of me. Here we have the tangled frame. That was the tangled rope. And again, these are 6x8 stamp sets. So this is the first time I'm coming out with those. This is definitely bigger in size when it comes to the height. However, this is more elongated. But again, we can still put that onto a standard A2 size card. You're just having a beautiful floral vine background when it comes to that card. You can also do the same thing when it comes to this card. Trying to get back into this. Where is the other one? Where we split it. And you can have half of the card stamped, half of the card not stamped. So again, taking two 4 and 5 1/4 panels, put them together, stamp right down the center. You get 2 cards. So it creates a beautiful border line when it comes to the tangle itself. Remember, you can also take these two and quarter them. These are 3 3/4 panels put together in the stamp positioner and then stamped in the center of where they intersect. And you get these 4 different looking panels. So you can do different things even though these are larger size stamp. All right? And then finally, some bitty tangles. And these are bookmarks. That was the original idea. But as you can see, yes, bookmarks. But then you can also create, as I go back in, panels. When it comes to a 5x7, you can also create the panels when it comes to a standard A2 size card as well. So don't think that you're limited when it comes to the size of the panel that you want to create. All right, you can have it offset. You can, and what I mean by offset, you can make a landscape because these are non-directional. You can make it portrait. And again, yes, this is on a 5x7, but you can do it onto a standard. You can have it so that we can add more tangles to it if you want. Or not only can you create the trifold like we did, but you can also create the gatefold and create those 2 panels. You can, now this is a 5x7, you can also shorten that. So again, it will work on that standard A2 size. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this collection. For those of you that have already made your purchase, thank you so much. The orders are going to start shipping tomorrow. And again, in honor, inspiration from Biddy. So Biddy, I say thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? Let me check. Oh, Biddy's posting. Biddy's posting links. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah, I can't wait to see yours. You gave me a sneak peek. You do. So Sean and Biddy both are designers or on my design team. Wow, I have a design team. Um, and they each. So you've seen the way that I designed with them. I do keep very close to the cuff of the Zentangle method with the shading and what I use, what mediums I use, and even when I use watercolors, I stick with that method when it comes to that. Sean and Biddy go in 2 completely different polar opposite directions away from me. So it's fun to see their creations as well to inspire you. Because again, we all create differently. And that's the beautiful thing. We all like the mediums that we like, and we all like the techniques that we like. But these 2 go out into different worlds when it comes to what they use and how they use the materials that they have. So for those of you, again, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my paper manipulators community. Thank you for purchasing my stamps. I'm truly grateful and humbled, honestly. I cannot say thank you enough. I will have Biddy's channel listed below along with Sean's. I will have a link to this stamp collection. There are 4 others. 4 others. Wow, that is amazing to me. that are also available as well if you wanted to check those out. And I will also, we got a lot of questions today regarding my paper manipulators community. That will be linked down below also. So I encourage you to check out what 3 tiers are, and just know that first tier is the free tier, and you get a little bit of everything going on there because it's all about paper. Again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And Biddy, I say thank you. Thank you for everything. And this is my way of showing you my appreciation to you. All right? Take care, guys. Love you all and have a good one. And I will see you next Sunday. Yes. Take care, everyone. Love to all.